Wow. Hello there. Out there in Facebook land. I'm Brian Wimer. That's what I look like. There you go. But I'm putting on my mask here because I'm sitting here at a distance from a renowned artist from Charlottesville, Spanish artist Chicho Lorenzo. And what we're doing here is kind of a Bob Ross thing. We're going to kind of profile artists and something that they do. And one thing that Chicho does very well, I'm going to step a little bit further back so you can see what I'm saying. By the way, you're in my house. See, this is like weird stuff I have in my house. Like, that's me up there, apparently. Anyway, so Chicho's going to talk about his process. Now, big thing with Chicho that I love is that he has a habit of doing journals. And his journals are works of art. Someday, maybe he'll make a children's book or something like that. But they come all out of his head, and I don't know what goes on in his head. And you're going to discover what goes on in his head, because he's going to talk about it. So I'm going to turn it over here to Chicho. Somebody's calling me. Jeff Leonard is calling. Hold on. Maybe like the audio's off or something like that. Hold on. Let's see. Maybe this is going to do double feedback. Okay, look, we're over here. We're trying to multitask. Where the heck is this? Jeff Leonard's calling. Answer. Hey, Jeff. Jeff.
You there?
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, have you heard from Andy Hers lately?
Oh, hold on. This is a different kind of a call. Hold on, I'm doing a live stream right now. I'm on with Jeff Leonard from the radio station. But I'll call him back later. Maybe we'll get him on a program someday. I'll give you a shout later, okay? I thought you were calling about the live stream. Okay, this is interesting, man.
No.
Okay, talk to you later. Bye. Wow, man, this is happening as we speak. This is the new world of media in the world, Okay, back to where we were. I think I had too much coffee this morning. Okay, here's Chicho. I'm going to put on my mask here, so that you cannot tell who I am. And I'm going to turn it over. Batang, two. Ta-ta. Let's get our framing here.
Hello, everybody.
Look at that. Chicho Lorenzo.
Chicho Lorenzo in an exotic, beautiful, artistic place of the Wimers.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I do draw all the time since long ago. And I also paint. Here in Charlottesville, I started making murals. And I found it very different than painting, and because of the dimensions, because of the people interaction with it during the process and afterwards. And that is what kind of art I draw, mostly from my imagination, and sometimes in an absurd existentialistic aspect.
So tell me, one thing people will want to know probably is, because they're like, well, I'm not an artist. Do I need an art degree? Where did you learn to draw?
I learned to draw by drawing, and then I observe other people's drawings all the time.
Got it. So how long have you been drawing for?
Since I remember.
Yeah. There you go. And tell me a little bit about the work. Actually, let's talk about a little bit. When I first discovered your work, you were working on the stairwell in one of the schools.
At Venable School, yes.
Tell me a little bit about that.
That was actually my second mural. But it reflects very well the mutual inspiration feeling and aspect of my work. Because even if it's absurd and existentialistic, which I mean that is about my own struggles, about meaning of life, it is all related with my relationships with people, with even the look, the fashion people show to me, and with fashion I mean the style of life, not just the clothes. And so in that school, the Venable School was very interesting to start the job just walking up the stairs, up and down with the children and asking them, hey, what do you want?
Yeah, sometime we'll show that video because we made a pretty cool video of your creation of that, but we'll add that on later on. Let's add in one more thing and go ahead and talk to the camera on this because I'm going to make sure that we're kind of doing the right thing on that. But talking through to people about how you prepare, like, do you have special pens that you use? Do you need, like, you've got a pad, does it have to be special paper? Can it be anything?
Okay, well, then I'm gonna pull out the sketchbook that I have right now. The main one, because I usually have a lot of books at the same time. But I have one that I start always with, if you find that book, this book, return it to chicho.art. And so the same process that I do in this drawing is the same process that I do in everything. Sometimes I have a plan of where to start. Sometimes I have an inspiration, like a face, and I work on it until it blooms. Or sometimes I just start and realize that I didn't want to draw a person. I just wanted to draw a piece of clothing. So some of my drawings are maybe incomplete, not as something unfinished, but as a ring, as something that has been finished and nature and time left it like that. I draw a lot of architectural elements mixed with landscapes. I draw a lot of boats. This is a sketch for one of my murals that didn't happen yet. I started realizing that I draw a lot of boats, and then I mix them with kind of everything. I love to draw spaces so I can be in it even if it doesn't exist. So this defines a lot my approach into drawing. I'm drawing as if I watch a movie. I don't know what is going to happen, and I'm enjoying that line, that scene.
Talk a little bit about the color, because I see you have such rich colors. Is this some kind of are you using watercolor? There you go, markers.
Crayola markers, some of them with silly cents, $7, 50 markers or something like that. Then what I do is I color, and with the markers, sometimes I leave it like that. Sometimes I go with a brush with water, just water, and I blend it. The traces, I'm using this Pilot something, and I got the 0.5, like 3 different thickness. And when I go with the brush with water, then these ones run also. So I do shades or shadows or things with them. Other times I just leave it without the color. So far, maybe one day I'm painting and I'm like this, for example. The other day I was painting and I have leftover colors, and then I made this thing, which was black and white till then. Now I'm doing this. Sometimes I put a name that is life without a clue. Yeah, I don't have any clue. I mean, I see a kind of person or the structure of a space suit or something like that, holding a scientist that is studying that being. So I could say that I draw for the sake of drawing, for the fun of it. Sometimes, of course, I don't like what I'm drawing. I have 2 options: I quit or I keep on going. And even when I don't like it, because it's sad, because it shows anger, if I keep on going, I always find elements that I can relate to afterwards. Or the book has many pages. If I don't like something, I pass the page and I keep on going. So, eso.
Tell me a little bit about what you write in your journals.
What I write is probably the most the thing that gives that the existentialistic aspect of it. Until then, it may be just lines and shapes, but then I write something like, oh, you meant that. Nothing really maybe related to. For example, I do this and I wrote, being so conscious as to notice the constant movement of the earth.
What is that in Spanish?
Ser tan consciente como para notar el movimiento constante de la Tierra.
Sounds so much better in Spanish, doesn't it?
We call Tierra the planet and the soil. That is Tierra. Like, I drew this the other day and I love it. That person with an Arabic kind of looking.
Let's talk a little bit about why you do it. You say you love it, but what is it that kind of compels you? Because you do this, you can't really help yourself. You just do it.
Yeah, I may be keeping myself busy in order not to think in scary things, in order not to feel alone, maybe. Or it may be just as simple as when I need to pee.
So do sometimes these become bigger projects? Or are they just sort of sketches that you will develop?
Yeah, sometimes they like this, for example, that I just showed. I want to make it in a bigger thing. The murals, that thing is already 4 feet high sculpture. To thank all the people that is doing things. If any of you want to build this, I can help. Or murals, or I mean everything. When I draw something, nothing is wasted. I can always. I wish I did go back to my books more often, or in a more organized way. Because it always inspires me, and I may join something that I designed on 1873.
Ah. So tell me also, like now for the past 2 months, everybody's been kind of closed up. It seems like a perfect way to occupy. Are you doing it more now because everybody's isolated?
Yeah, I'm drawing a lot. I'm painting, and I even made a mural because it was just being myself alone, and I heard the people that they were in the distance, and yeah.
So I'm curious what you've been writing about, because you're probably reflecting some of the situation that's happening in the world, or is your stuff just still another sort of escape and fantasy?
No, I've been through a process, I guess, like everyone, and so that's what I was showing some drawings that are kind of, wow, this is sad. Why? Well, because being by myself, I have to be with myself, and that includes all aspects of myself. Well, navigating all my emotions. And the other day I read that by being in these times, in this confinement, people is looking more to the past with a little bit of melancholy. And so I guess I had that too. Although all that reflects on my drawings.
Do you have some of those in your book? Can you show a little bit of just what your thought process has been recently?
well, it's all a little bit absurd. That's what I said. For example, I had read the Adventures of Magellan, and, and I started making, having the ideas of making maps. These maps in the medieval times that include creatures and known creatures that can eat a boat and fantastic things, boats, all kinds, from the smallest. And
so I imagine now a lot of people are kind of trying to figure out how to escape from this trap, and sort of a representation of a boat might be a very potent metaphor for where we're going or where we want to be.
Like, I need to go out.
Yeah.
So, but also I use the boat as an anchor. And here, my feelings are flying, trying to fly with the wind, like leaves in the fall. And then my interpretation of this is again that city from Morocco maybe, and then holding at the mast as if it is propelled by all these feelings that are reflected here.
Well, what's written? What are those words?
Well, this is something about relationships, but yeah, I won't read it. But talking about relationships, for example, I decided to draw and write a process of a relationship from the starting, from where all kinds of insects are flying on top of the flowers on the meadow. Then again, suits, like space suits made out of different bubbles and tentacles, like ferns growing from one place, and here would be the other person in the relationship, to a room full of mirrors and all kinds of things. So this is, for example, coming into a bigger project. What I find with this, with drawing, is since I'm not thinking most of the times about what I'm going to draw, it sometimes comes like very complicated structures of I don't know what, or very simple drawings. For example, here I was thinking, what do I really want to do? What are my passions? So, landscape designer, I'm an architect, industrial designer,
Rock star.
rock star, of course.
Singer? Cantante? Is that...
Yeah, singer, cantante. Here,
Autor de...
autor de escribidibujos. Escribir is write and dibujos is drawing. So I finally said, this is my priority. I like to do exactly this. Drawing and writing, and other people may interpret. But then everything is at the same time a distraction and an exploration. Maybe sometimes conscious, sometimes not that conscious. See, a face with a courage. What the heck? And so I do meditate a lot. This, would be covered inside of a house.
Oh, I like this one. So right here you've got a thank you to our heroes.
Yeah, that was the first thing instead of the sculpture that I finally made. Yeah. See?
Is that going to be somewhere? Or are we going to put that up?
Not this. I mean,
Let's do it at X, man.
of course we can. See, everything comes alive. It's more. If you want, maybe I offer that to the city. I hope they answer. Sometimes easy and not elaborated, just plain colors. Hey, what it is? It's a boat. Okay, maybe, of course. sometimes a lot of work. You see, there's a lot of detailing there that may be covered. When I go with the brush, sometimes I'm like, oh shoot, it took me so long to draw that, and now you cannot really see. Well, who cares? Maybe maybe if I sell the books, I would care. But so far, who cares? This is the beginning. Well, the beginning was this. This was a dream. I dreamed, I wrote it down, and I started. I dreamt with a hand stained glass with a door, a woman dressed in white, and me with a kind of old times Greek helmet sitting on a table. Actually, the woman was standing, and so I drew it. And this guy who was in this page before that is presenting the thing. So all of a sudden, everything becomes alive. And it's so easy that it's just to start with this, with the pencil that I already, with this, and start, and oh, it's a nose. And then keep on going. Oh, it's not a nose, it's a brick. Oh, the brick is a part of a wall, and then the wall is a nose.
So should we start so we see what
yeah,
happens
whenever
here?
you want. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to change the camera a little bit so that we can look down here what Chicho was up to without making things. Sorry about that. I just made everybody's world fall apart. Sorry. It was abrupt. Dangerous. All right, I got to knock this down.
I've got a
here.
Sharpie so you can see better. Because if I draw, I may draw like that with
Let's
this.
see if that'll stay like that. Yeah, I think we can see what you're doing
Yeah.
there.
So
Perfect.
so I said that I like to draw boats. So I just start with a shape. It could be a boat, or it could be something else. I don't have any idea yet of what I'm drawing. Gonna make shapes, and the drawing is telling me maybe not what it is, but it's telling me where to go. And I love to sing, but I realize if I sing while drawing, it doesn't really work. I always realize, oh, I stopped singing without realizing. Look, it could be an A and a G, and an L, lag. I don't know if that means something. But the nose, I like to draw a nose, and I learn how to draw a different nose every once in a while, which is surprising, because after 40-something years drawing noses, I was assuming that I would have chosen one, and no, I'm always open to change. See, this could be also a word written. It will be cool. And I guess it happens in a certain way. If I finish a drawing not having any idea of what I was drawing, and I see that I see a message very clear. Imagine that after doing this, it reads, hey, drink some tea. I don't know, there's something more profound maybe. So see, suddenly that thing that was there static now is in movement. So it's interacting with everything. What do we go? Oh, let's see if we can still draw a boat. I'm not stuck to the concept of a boat, but I really love to draw them. May be related to the reading of the Magellan's book. What is in the figurehead could be a something that knows how to swim, like a kind of duck. Of course, it's always useful, so I learn somehow to know how to draw realistically, because suddenly you can include that. It's a good resource, but it doesn't. I mean, all this I just drew shapes. I have a steady hand, and but even if my hand is not steady, there's a lot of different lines. Each line can be useful for certain things, or you can always use a ruler.
Do you play music often when you draw?
If I listen to music,
Yeah.
yes, and either very calm music, let's say Chopin, the calm minuets, for example, or hardcore, not the hardcore of all, but for example Muse, the band Muse, or Lou Reed, and like, yeah, I don't know why those two kinds of music.
What happens in your brain as you're doing this? Is it just allowing it to happen? Are you, it's sort of like a Ouija board, when people like don't know, like, oh, who's moving it? Are you sort of really sensing who's moving it?
I don't know what is a Ouija board.
Oh, it's like a thing that has like letters on it, and you do it sort of occult, and you sort of like, yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, when I'm really into it, I'm not really thinking, so it's a very meditative thing. When I'm trying to do something specific, I may get frustrated, but if I'm drawing, even if I'm trying to make something specific, if I'm drawing, things are flowing, and I'm just kind of continuously amazed of of the whole thing. So yeah, it doesn't give much space left for the usual mental activity that I have all the time. What am I gonna do?
Does it act like meditation in that way, of allowing you to kind of put the other things aside, so that this can, so you're not worried about whether you left the oven on or what you're doing tomorrow?
Well, I tried not to leave the oven on. Yeah, I usually, it's usually a specific time that that I reserve for drawing. So just the action of sitting down to draw is like, oh, finally, I couldn't wait. Even if I do it many times a day, even if it's for a few minutes or if it's for as long as it is always okay, leave everything and stay, which doesn't mean that every day I just draw for hours. Sometimes I get distracted. But usually when I'm trying to do something and doesn't come.
So about how many, like if you are to reserve time for yourself, about how long do you usually say, like, I'm gonna take an hour today, or is there a time during the day that you?
I draw in the mornings. I try to draw in the mornings. So just after breakfast, and there's also the two different kinds of two different approaches. Okay, I need to finish this mural, so I'm gonna think of something specific, which I realize is tricky because sometimes it requires researching, and researching means computer, and as soon as the computer is there, the whole experience is very different. But usually in the mornings, what I do is just drawing as I do the morning pages. That is just automatic writing. So I do the same. I just open the page and start writing whatever comes, and then I open the page and start drawing whatever comes.
Cool. Can you scoot it just a little bit, your page, just a little bit that way?
It's out of the screen.
Oh, sorry, the other way then. Oh, or, no, I guess you're good.
Like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Just want to be able to see it best. Yeah.
If you can see me, just let me know, okay? Just call Brian. So what is in there? 3 holes, 3, well, the kind of window in a boat. In this, there's something, I know you didn't ask me for advice, but my daughter one day asked me how to draw a wing, a bird's wing, and I said, well, first thing you have to do is learning the structure of the wing, what is inside. So the wing, if you have, I know many of you will be like, yeah, I ate wings, chicken wings. But then I realized it's not just with the wing, it's with everything. If you want to draw something and you know the structure, you can play with it, open it, change it, make a wing in different ways. If you just know how to draw a wing because you learn how to draw one, then, but don't know the structure, you can just draw that wing. So the wing has the bones in here, and the feathers go out like this. So if you want to change the wing, you just have to respect a certain basic shape for it to be a wing.
I'm gonna
But
lift
then
just the edge up here, just
I
to
was
kind of.
okay.
Well,
I can,
just so that you can see a little bit.
I can draw like this.
Was that cool?
Yeah. So when painting a mural, actually here at X, I was painting a waterfall, and in the waterfall, in the sketch, the waterfall was just lines down, different colors, beautiful, and in the sketch it looked like a waterfall. But then when I was painting it in a big scale, like I don't know how many feet is that high, I realized, it doesn't look like a waterfall. And then I watched a slow motion video of a waterfall, and I realized, oh, the water falls into bunches. Now it looks more like a waterfall. And what it is the same. Is the the structure of the waterfall, the structure of things. That, what is this? Is useful for me to draw. Yeah, because if I'm making a curtain out of this ship duck with a person letter, and I wanted to add to the curtain a waterfall, well, there it is. It doesn't look like a waterfall much, but I don't care. I don't know if you can listen to the marker. So it's like a dance.
It reminds me a little when I do pastel work at McGuffey in Robert Bricker's studio. I tend to make a lot of noise with my pastels. But I find that like I work harder when I can hear myself working. I can hear that like tangible, okay, there's something. I'm sure it would be difficult with paint and things like that, but definitely pastels and marker, you sort of have that.
I wonder if when you do more noise with your pastels, the model breathes more intensively, so somehow everybody in the room will be like an orchestra. Like, hey.
Well, I actually do it somewhat because I'm aware that the model is hearing what I'm doing, and I want the model to know that I'm trying my hardest. Like at that moment, Robert Bricker's always kind of over your shoulder going like, come on, you're not giving it your all. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make you know that I'm giving it my all, and draw as loudly as possible.
So what is this? I don't know. Maybe a person sitting. Oh yeah. It's a kind of Buddha. It's a but this Buddha has a crown of eyes. Have you realized he doesn't have any eyes in there? So I'm gonna put a lot of eyes in here. One that looks to you. The other that looks to Brian. And this one is gonna look to me? No, to my book. Are these eyes waiting to grow and fly? Of course they are. Eyes like to fly. Flies like to eye. Hello, and this is looking to the future. And everything has roots. Pop, 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 beef, beef, pop, pop. And what does a Buddha have in his mind? I guess nothing, no? That's the point. So let's write a beautiful end of nothing. Nothing. And now we know what is this. This ball that is here more or less from the starting is one of the three dots of an ellipsis, no?
Yeah.
So this is an ellipsis. That is there's always more, and since there's always more in everything, it is non-stopping. It goes from there to here, and back to there, and whoopa, and it's at the same time the how you call how the wheat, for example, grows in this shape. You know how you call this shape in a plant?
I don't know, it's a wheat shape, I guess.
Ajá. In español, espiga. Espiga is the shape. Wheat and other cereals grow in espigas. So now it's a espiga. And let's add some here. You see that is kind of confusing, like, ooh, I saw so many lines in there that I don't know what is what. Well, if we decorate the clothes of the Buddha, namaste, we start seeing things more in place. Like, okay, we know what is what. Here, big butt requires big polka dots.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit because, you know, compositionally, your eye is sort of at a certain point trying to figure out how to tie this together, you know, how to make it all feel right on the page. Can you talk about how that works in your mind when you start to sort of see empty spaces and what could go there and how that relates to the rest of the drawing maybe? Or when you feel that it's complete, I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know when it's completed. I have a lot of drawings that I started and going, and many I also draw when I go to sleep. So I sometimes fall asleep drawing, and my hand goes to sleep after my brain goes to sleep. So sometimes I'm seeing this drawing and I'm like, what is that? It doesn't have anything, everything is clean and in place, and then suddenly something that you didn't really know, and it's like, I didn't draw that. Well, I did, but while sleeping. That happens also when I'm too much, when I keep on working on something that I kind of lost the point. If I got distracted with something else, or I just got tired, but I'm drawing for whatever reason, and I'm like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have add that or tried to make it. One thing that it has been a struggle for me during my artist life is to realize that I have my own style. Well, this is a duck. It's not exactly a duck because the pig is not like this. It's a duck. You see that it's a duck, or at least I see that it's a duck. If it's a dog for you, that doesn't matter. I know how to draw things in my own style, but then I thought, for example, with this, if there's people who can draw this with the buildings and the stairs in a way that you, from there, you would be like, wow, it's amazing. I perfectly see the stairs. I perfectly see the shadows, the lights. I don't have that technique because I didn't go to school. So sometimes I felt like, oh, I'm lacking that, and I cannot do. And then I realized, no, I can do it my style overall when I'm not a realistic painter.
So at what point, we've got about 15 minutes left, at what point do you start adding color? Is there a point you're like, okay, the black's done, I have the outline, now let's fill it in? Sometimes it just stays
usually
black.
When I'm tired of drawing. But I can start now.
Here, I'll put something else underneath there. Here, we can use little...
Perfect.
This, is that going to be solid enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, dun, 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 dun. So this, what I do is displaying them here in front of me. At home, I have a box with another set because it's like, okay, this is so useful, and then I don't care much about what color is this, what color is that. I may care if I color something that the thing next to it, because of contrast or whatever, is a different color. But and with these markers, what I discover is that if I go with a darker one and go on top with a lighter one, and they are in good conditions, which these sometimes are not. But these blends, like the watercolor aspect that I told about before, so usually I don't need as much colors to blend. But yeah, that gives you an idea. Also, usually I'm drawing with this, and as I told you, the ink runs. So with the markers, I would have that that orange would have taken some of the black, and it would be making already shades. So I'd say just to have fun with drawing, the main thing is, as all artists say, no fear, just start and doing it. And if you don't like it, keep on doing it, because who knows? Not that you like it, but that is what you're doing. So it shows your emotions at that moment. It shows your state of mind or whatever. So for example, palmetto trees, they could be green, but and this would be just for the sake of changing. Yeah, palmetto tree could be green, but what about if we add some pink, for example? But the pink is not just in that palmetto tree, but I like it to be aligned in that direction. Why? I don't know. And then, since it's in that direction, what about if I do like this? And you know, those things I discover that are very related to light. And when you see if you take a picture at the beach, the light may be like some circles on the air or some lines, some directions. So if I do like this with a color, it's not exactly that, but adds that sensation. The same as if I go like this and I add something that is not just coloring something. I'm not coloring anything specific. What am I doing? I'm adding things out of control.
Well, let's talk about the things out of control. The sort of silly name of this show is Happy Accidents. That was a term that Bob Ross from The Joy of Painting often used, and talking that really he wasn't trying to make something perfect, and that sometimes the things that were mistakes turned out to be some of the best parts of what he was doing, or they would influence another element. Can you talk a little bit about sort of the notion of happy accidents?
In my work, most of it is very. I'm very clean. I'm very. If I make a line, that line either goes or will eventually go to another line that flows in that position, and
it's not necessarily preconceived that you're like, oh, I know I'm going to here. Maybe you'll decide once you get to the other side of the page where that line might end. Like that, like over here, I don't know if when you started, where was it? This line that weaved through everything, that you know you are going to end up there. Did you?
I never know. I mean, everything in this, everything is a happy accident. that is the point of it. Like, okay, that, since I'm not knowing what I'm drawing from the starting, everything is that of an exploration of, oh, I did that. So there's no that concept of an accident, because nothing can go wrong when you don't have any rules. And everything at the same time is that accident. But it's good to add someone who's meditating for everything and making everything right. Okay? Okay. Hey, it's not my fault. Ask the Buddha.
Well, let's talk a little bit about process too, because one thing that at Ix that I have discovered as we do projects and create murals and who knows what, that for me, we sometimes don't know what the product is going to be. So to me, the process is as important, if not more important, than the product itself. Because most of our lives we spend doing things. We don't spend most of our lives finishing things. Probably 99% of our life is the doing. So that's where you are. You're not necessarily creating this so that you have a finished product at the end and then you can go have fun. It's like, no, the doing is the fun. What do you think about that?
Definitely. It's like I said at the beginning, it's like watching a movie. So sometimes it's actually like watching it's like watching a movie in the terms you can watch the movie again if you like it.
Now you can, definitely. For making the movie, yeah.
Hey, that's true. Thank you. But yeah, it's like watching a movie in terms of, wow, this is growing right now, and it's growing with the things that you're telling me, with what I'm listening on the other side of the but it's a game. Once the game is over, okay, then we can start again, or you can watch at the game board and appreciate that game, that specific one.
And when you revisit these games, when you look back through, because you have a journal here, what does that sort of do? Sometimes you look at stuff and you go, wow, where did that come from? Or, I mean, is that also part of this collection of moments that you spent and where your brain went that you can revisit later?
It's definitely the same feeling as reading a diary. So sometimes you go read the diary and you find yourself, oh, I was in the same situation. Or wow, I was there, and look what I learned. Or, oh, wow, I'm telling myself again this. I was very wise at saying this, with a drawing, with a writing. So yeah, it's very much like reading a diary and realizing about all those moments and somehow living them, or getting all the teachings from the past.
Well, it seems too like a diary can be, well, it is very literal. You know, you're writing what you're thinking and putting those thoughts into words. What's interesting with this is you're taking those thoughts and making them into pictures. And perhaps that isn't a literal description of what's going on in your head, because I don't know if you had in your head a duck boat, but but it's a process seemingly of taking these feelings, ideas, and abstractly representing them in a way that's seemingly even more meaningful than the literal description.
That abstractly to me is important because it's if it's abstract, we are not limited to words or other ideas or a catalog or it's okay. This is here. Is I even see it different, and I usually see it different from the time I do it and the time I revisit that book. That's why I said the oh, I don't like what I just drew. I don't like what I just made. I don't care. I may find it in 7 years and love it and say this is exactly what I wanted, what I needed right now. But 3 years before it didn't mean anything. So don't give up if you ain't got the. Sorry, I didn't know the words. So a duck with some decorations as the Mediterranean pottery has.
Oh.
Hey, we have a if I was going to say a visitor, but it's not. It's a local. Hola.
That was Luca. Maybe one day we'll do a profile on her. She's doing some really wonderful paintings on masks for people.
Olé.
So
Ole
who
for me.
knows? You know, if this is successful, we could have hundreds of these and talk about everybody's process, which I think would be a great way to spend quarantine.
See, many different blues.
So is this also somewhat reflective of your mood today? Are you sort of feeling in a duck boat kind of a mood with a Buddha on it?
The Buddha on it was a cool surprise. I love the Buddha with the. It may be also related to the Magellan book because I read so much about these tribes in the Philippines and Indonesia and their chiefs sitting and so. What about if it's not a Buddha and it's just a guy trying to rule over something?
Well, I love that he's like on the front of the boat, he or she, and is sort of guiding this boat. Maybe it's like, okay, you've got a navigator, you know, with nothing in his head and eyes all over, you know, looking at you, looking at me, flying off. Like perhaps this is the metaphor that we need. This is the plan, you know. This is how we're going to get out of this situation.
And that is exactly what we need. The interpreting it each like the one. Like, okay, this is that for you, excellent. And then for me, it's a different thing, excellent. And
but even this is. I mean, I'm just totally interpreting here, but art is subjective. But the fact that the duck has this piece of wheat in its beak, which is very symbolic. I mean, that's the whole, like, Noah going on his boat, and when Noah knew that they had found land, he sent, or he was out in the ocean and sent some birds out. I think dove. Wasn't it? That's where the sort of peace dove comes from. I'm just making this up. Don't go Google search it or who knows what.
I'll be speaking to you on Facebook later.
But the notion that it came back with an olive branch in its beak, and it told the people on the boat that, oh my God, the flood is over. There's land somewhere, and here you have sort of as we are adrift in this craziness of the world right now, and now we have the duck boat that is going to find land, and even better than an olive branch, because I mean, yeah, you can olive oil will get you somewhere, but wheat, you know, that's bread, you know. Like,
you get the olive oil, you don't have bread to dip on it each.
Exactly. Maybe this boat's meeting Noah's boat. This is the Buddhist boat, you know, Noah's, Judeo-Christian boat, and you know. Actually, I guess it was the yeah. Go ahead. What's that?
Well, what I wanted to say is also the reflections. This is just a rough thing. And do this, then up, dot the same color just underneath, like if it was on the water, and there's some colors just underneath the same, and then some of the same green in here, all reflections. So suddenly what was separated, suddenly it gets into, I learned that from realistic paintings. And then I got the thinner thing, so I don't know if we're gonna see it, but there's someone, a person, and this person is one of my favorite styles, that is symmetrical. And what is she or he doing is waiting. And what are they waiting for? The fruit. The fruit under a palmetto tree usually is a coconut. So I'm gonna make the coconut. A coconut. And another. And
By the way, how much time have you got?
a what?
How much time have you got? I mean, we've gone an hour, but let's keep drawing if you've got time and want to keep drawing.
Oh,
I'd love to.
okay.
Yeah. I'm having fun.
you
This is
just
a great way to
interrupt me.
spend an afternoon.
And whenever you feel like, okay, I'm hungry, you just tell me, hey.
We're going to go to midnight, man. This thing is going to be crazy. Yeah. How long does it usually take you to sort of... Well, I guess there's
It depends.
Never, yeah.
Some drawings had.
You chose a big thing to fill
Well,
here.
this is, exactly. This was for you to see something. If I drew like this, you would be kind of clueless, and which is also good. But now, yeah, I think yeah. Life without a clue.
Right. You had a cool saying before. I can't remember.
Pescado.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, you have a lot of things, so we'll have to revisit that. Yeah.
So.
What is wait? Pescado. Does that mean fish?
Pescado is fish once you fish it. Before you fish it is pez.
Ah. So once you've caught the fish, it's a pescado.
Because you pescas un pescado.
Got it. I always wondered about that because you call me pescado and I'm like, okay, so I'm a fish. That was just I take it as a good term of endearment. So you know.
It is definitely.
This is great. We're learning Spanish and we're learning to draw. This is like multi-educational here. I love it.
La Academia de Dibujo, the Drawing Academy.
Excellent. I love it. That'll be our next program.
And let's see. As with gardening, when you talk to the plants, like all people with green thumbs have said, with drawing is also helpful because if you're gonna spend 3 or 4 hours with a line, at least get to know and talk a little bit.
So I guess usually when you're drawing, you're not talking so much.
Usually I'm not talking out loud, but I'm talking with myself a lot because I really more than asking myself, what is that? I'm more or less answering myself all the time. Instead of asking myself, what is that? I'm saying, this is sailor who has come here to get the coconuts, and or instead of the coconuts, what she's getting is the rain to take it to her land because it's very dry. And then if I add some details with the thin black marker or pen, then the thing gets depth, and I may even go like, oh, and add some shades here. No, shades, no, shadows.
Yeah, you can shade, shadow.
Yeah? Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about that too, because now we're kind of getting into a little bit of technique. And I always found it was challenging, especially with pen and ink, like how to create a shadow, whether you're gonna...
Can I use this?
Yeah, you can use whatever you like. Because you can cross hatch, you can use dots, you can use gray tones, or you can paint.
And then I go here and see it looks a little bit like watercolor. I'm even getting some of the color that is in the jar, which is great. Sometimes if I'm on a coffee shop, sometimes I use coffee. And then we realize, oh, they weren't waiting for the coconuts. This thing that is falling, and it's not falling from the palmetto trees. It's falling from the sky. It's like a punctual storm in there. So I get some color from there. I'm not coloring that. I'm just borrowing some color. So I can come here. So the drawing became the palette for a moment. And at the same time, I'm blending. So that color brings here and makes the drawing gain something, like, I don't know, depth or whatever it gets. And badabam, bidibim, tidolon. See? A spot of white. Suddenly there's light in there. That wasn't there before. White is very important. It took me a while to learn that sometimes I have to leave the white. It's not overall with markers. It's impossible to add it later. Like if you're painting with oil, you can always go even with acrylic. You can always go afterwards. But with markers, unless you, I mean, it's not impossible. You can you can make the drawing again on this piece of paper and put it on top. There's always a solution, but it's nice to leave some white, and also it add layers, and the layers are mystery, are curtains that we don't to cover places that we don't see.
So how did this process develop for you? I mean, did you just sort of just start doing it and then decide like, oh, I'll add in marker, I'll add in, did you start there? Did you go back to there? Did you at first say, I'm only going to do watercolors, and then say, no, I can just do pen?
No, as a child, like many of us, I started with this. So then at 20, in my early 20, I said, oh, I'm a painter. And I started painting mostly with acrylics. And so I dropped the markers, because acrylics were for real artists. I was a real artist. Markers were for children and amateurs. But then after a while, I don't know if it was just one day I grabbed markers and I did something, or if I just remember, oh man, I used to have so much fun with markers. And then I thought, oh, it's even cheap, easy to carry. I can use it here. If I add water, I can add water afterwards. I can see, I don't even need. See, everything like now is disappearing. The designs are disappearing or changing more than disappearing. So yeah, the markers are to me like going back to like for Ruben Dantas, a percussion player, when a very good percussion player who knew already how to play a lot of percussion instruments, and they gave him a Peruvian cajon, a cajon drum, just a wooden box, and he said, "Man, this is like going back to when I was playing on my grandmother's table, the kitchen table." So markers for me are like that, like, oh, this is how I grew.
But then, like something like this,
Oh,
you can show it like.
This is my father.
But I feel that's a complete piece. I don't sit there and go, he did it with markers or whatever. I go like, wow, you know, everything, it stands on its own.
Cool. And this is just the markers, and then the watercolor. Here I have more control on the watercolor. I mean the watercolor, the water. With the water, with the brush, I just went certain lines because I wanted that contrast. I wanted it to be seen from far away and not something that is almost like a maze of things that you don't see at first. And yep, this.
Are you particular about what kind of paper, or do you just like kind of whatever?
No, that's I don't know how to describe it. The regular sketchbooks are the paper I use. It's soft enough, so it's not like watercolor. Watercolor paper with this would be kind of tricky. Right. Like, would be like painting on a metal thing. And if when I go with the water, it goes like up and down. But since it's a book, you go like this, let it dry, and then it dries flat. Sometimes, I don't know where I have it, but sometimes well, I don't find it now. But sometimes when I go like plop, then it's like, oh man, the other drawing, I like it like without colors or whatever. Who cares? Oh, and look, I saw these 3 characters on the stains of my bathroom floor. And I couldn't find them later. I went with my son and I said, there. But I couldn't find them. So it was just my state of mind at that moment. And then I drew them, and I drew this guy who's based on an ancient European religion. It was the Great Horn, or the Horned God, or something like that. But then when I drew it, he reminds me a lot to this guy here, Brian, which is funny because it's like, even to me, I drew it with some totally different approaching, and oh well, yeah, and it's a goat. I hope he takes it.
I'll take anything like that any day. Yeah.
Cool. It's not a goat. This is the goat.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I can live up to that.
So, this Buddha has ants on his belly. Why are they ants? Because I just said so. And I can start writing. And it's not, oh, I'm gonna start writing so I'm done drawing. I can always keep on drawing. But here, we said that this person is waiting. So somehow it is part of the drawing. Or I can write something waiting for what? That is more just text. But then the whole thing becomes a kind of map, like, oh, you're there. And that is a different place. You can go from here to there or from there to here. Oh, let's see, maybe in 3 years I find this and it answers all my questions. I love spirals, like many of us do. So certain things I learn, like when before I talk about the noses, like, oh yeah, I knew how to draw noses, but I keep on relearning all the time. Like 2 days ago, I learned a new way to draw the nostril, which is not revolutionary, but to me it is, because with all the noses that I draw a day, suddenly it's like, oh, let's change this. Imagine if I don't know, the car makers, they discover, oh, now we're gonna make the wheels square. Okay, we have to change all that. Well, I'm making that not all the time, but I'm open all the time for that to happen, and it happens very often. Oh, now it's wet. So if I go like this, it also adds to the drawing. What am I making? Do I do this in all my drawings? No, I'm making more or less a sample of all the techniques or approaches that I take. So I may do part of this sometimes.
Will you go back to drawings later on and add to them?
A what?
We could go back, like this. You might revisit like a week from now and be like, oh, I'll add to it. Or do you kind of finish things and move on?
Sometimes, for example, sometimes I go and to something that I have drawn before, and when I have
wow, look at that one. Oh, like that's amazing.
Look, this says, ella, que se convertía en mantequilla al desayuno, olía a lavanda abierta y a deseos. Decía que su secreto había sido siempre volar su mente fresca de búho. May 30th, 18. She, who became butter for breakfast, smelled like open lavender and of desires. She used to say that her secret was always to fly her fresh mind of an owl. Ta-da! Oh, and then here, con su sombrero bien roto para que los rayos puedan entrar en la cabeza. This is a sentence from a Spanish songwriter. To have the hat broken so the rays of the sun can enter your head. And her head over his shoulders, but ready to fly, full of ideas that come and go, immersed in the book of water. Sometimes I find myself being pretty literal. I probably drew that and then wrote this, just saying, okay, what am I seeing? That. another exercise that you may want to practice. This I started actually during the confinement, drawing the house of my dreams, designing it like very detailed, putting attention. Like, oh, I saw those columns on the Park Well in Barcelona, Gaudi's Park Well. But this is a little bit. But here, this is my father, the same that you saw before. My father and his wife.
Did you do that with watercolor or with pen?
With markers.
Wow, amazing.
The same. I drew, and then some lines got lost with the water.
Oh, I love that. Is that a project? Or?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, this?
No, the life.
Oh, this was, it was a project, which I don't know if I finish it. The project was, actually, it doesn't happen here. What my idea was to write life and then make the drawing all around. So life is just windows, it's just spaces, but the spaces should fit the shapes, and which they don't do in this. I mean, his leg is in the middle of the L, but I may get it. See the waterfall. But I was going to show you something. These are sketches also. This is for Jeff Decker's album. Blue Wave was the name of it. And in the last, I made it bigger. I made this bigger with Madeleine Holly as a mermaid here. And I forgot what I was. Oh yeah. Well, this is from a thing at UVA. I was called to draw the stories of other people. So I just had people telling me their dreams, their things, and I started drawing. It was very, very interesting. This is another house of my dreams. More detailed, so detailed that I drew this. This is the house of my dreams, but I then realized it's too big. it's way too big. But I drew it from here, from there. I even hired myself to make a mural. So yeah, dream. And I located it at the edge of a cliff in the front of the Catalonian shore. Not bad, no? Would you come visiting?
Oh yeah, man. I'm
Thank
there
you.
now.
This is this is funny. The sketches for the mural Shenandoah Joe. So the beginning, I guess, and then the main sketch for the mural. But then Dave, the owner, was like, I don't know about that cup over there, so I had to cover it like that, and then he, whoops, and then what else changed? Oh, yeah, the columns disappeared and became trees. So yeah, as you can see, I use the latest technology.
Oh yeah.
Do we call it done, or?
I don't know. Do you want to add anything else to what you're doing, or?
Well, I was going to answering your question.
Oh yeah.
If maybe in 3 weeks, I have gold paint left over, which is not very common because I usually paint from the tube, so it's never left. But then I may open the page and oh yeah, and then I color a big shape or a background of gold, for example, which I did in many drawings and it changes a lot. It kind of completes them somehow, or makes them more finished looking. But yeah, adding ingredients, usually once I'm done, I'm done.
Got it. Can you turn it so that the,
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
whole thing can be seen there? And
Here. Thank you for the inspiration.
that was great. So, you know, like in an hour and a half of like sort of meditative, sort of voyaging through your brain in a Magellan sort of way, we kind of went to all sorts of wonderful places that didn't exist an hour and a half ago.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to put it down, just tell a little bit about where people can find your work, and if people wanted, this wasn't necessarily intended as a like hey, you know, let's you know, hire Chicho for everything, but we should. But if people do want to get a hold of you and find your work, where do they go?
They go to chicho.org, chicho.org, or go around town and see murals, and I hope they inspire you to go back home and do, and do this. And send me your drawings. I will love, even if you're like, hey, I started this drawing but I couldn't finish. I may feel inspired to finish it, and then it's a game.
There you go.
Okay, like this was a cool game.
What a wonderful way to spend an afternoon. So, thank you. You can wave goodbye and then
Adios.
Shalom. And then I'll bring this over. Bring that. All right, groovy. So here, I'll take that down. And well, thank you so much. This was like sort of our first thing into this sort of Bob Ross. I got the hair sort of for it, and you know, but. And I love Chicho. Chicho just is such an inspiration to me in terms of his attitude, what he creates, how he creates it. But in the upcoming weeks, we're going to talk to more artists, local artists. We might branch out. I know some artists in New York, in California, perhaps some internationally. Actually, I know a great muralist in Portugal. And if you like these, let us know. And if you're an artist, or even if you're not, I don't know what an artist is really, but let's create more possibility in the world and influence each other, because I think that's how we get through this, with creativity, with possibility, and with that sort of ... to be continued, because it keeps going. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Brian Wimer. I'm sort of the Wizard of Ix over at Ix Art Park. And come down to the art park, because we are getting back up running in a socially distancing kind of a way. But while we are, go get yourself a journal and create. And you're wonderful, and dream big. That's our motto. So start dreaming. Love you. See ya.